The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the advertisers, owners, or management of Pacific Telestations, LLC. For comments, opinions, and questions, please email Jess Lujan at jessthebuzz@gmail.com. The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz, Episode 2 regarding the RMS, the Redemptoris Mater Seminary, and former Senator Bob Klitzkie's assessment on, again, what's been going on in regards to title. Good evening again, Senator. How are you doing?
A pleasure to be here, Jess.
You know, the last we left off last week, we talked about the certificate of title. I want to go back to that conversation. And just in a nutshell, I mean, a certificate of title, if I got a certificate of title, I think I would have one certificate of title, okay, that would have all information regarding ownership and things of that nature, and here it is. My understanding is that you have received quite a few certificate of titles to this one property that have different information on it.
With respect to the real property upon which the seminary is built, there are actually 4 lots.
4 lots, okay.
But we'll just talk about one, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen 4 pieces of paper that say certificate of title on the top for each of those lots, okay? One came out with a, let's see, last week we talked about memorials and the declaration of deed restriction. The declaration of deed restriction is the key to the entire discussion. And it should appear as a memorial on a certificate of title in the chain of title of that property. So a properly completed certificate of title shows on top who the fee simple owner is, and then the memorials show everything, every encumbrance, charge, easement, etc., outstanding in the chain of title for that piece of real property. So you should be able to look at that certificate of title, and it should show you everything recorded in that chain of title. And by the way, if it worked the way it was supposed to, we probably wouldn't need title insurance companies. But again, going back to the close of last show, I would advise anybody who buys real property, don't rely on a certificate of title. Get title insurance, right?
Yeah.
So the first certificate of title didn't have the key memorial. The second certificate of title did have the key memorial, but instead of saying that it was in favor of the Redemptoris Mater Corporation, it said it was in favor of the Archbishop.
Okay.
Now this would be the same thing as if you owned a house and you had a mortgage with the Bank of Guam, right? 30-year mortgage. That certificate of title then should say mortgage in favor of Bank of Guam.
Sure,
right?
Of course.
Not the way Andrew Santos did it. It would have been mortgage in favor of Jess Lujan.
Yeah, sure.
So, what a wonderful deal.
Sure.
So this declaration of deed restriction, which is a charge on the land in favor of the corporation, he made it in favor of the Archbishop.
Archbishop.
All right. So then there's a really interesting story that starts there, but the next part of the story is that same set of certificates of title comes out, and that the wronger memorial
Okay.
is canceled.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So they gave you the correct one,
They
correct version.
Well, no, they just canceled it.
Oh, okay.
And then the next one that comes out, the declaration of deed restriction is there, and it is in favor of the corporation. That's the 4th one. But how they did the 4th one is another interesting story. Okay, so again, going back to what I thought was the beginning, the bogus certificate of title that appeared on the front page of the Umatunas Sejus on November 29 was the product of someone calling in on the 27th of November, Andrew doing a abstract of title on the 28th, the last entry of which was a declaration of deed restriction. He issued a certificate of title on the 30th, which was just dead wrong. After it was issued, Jackie Terlahi and Bertha Evangelista applied for it. Quite some time after that, they paid for it. Then it appears on the front page of the Umatuna. I'm off island at the time. I come back, and the day after, the first working day after I'm back, I'm at the Department of Land Management. Andrew's got another set of certificates of title. He's got the one with the wronger.
With the wronger on it.
The wronger set that shows that there is a declaration of deed restriction, but it's in favor of the Archbishop.
Of the Archbishop.
So that's when the next part of the story starts.
Yeah, Bob, and so again, for our viewing audience here, now the government, again, as you've been dealing with, and Andrew, who's you were dealing with, is supposed to decipher this. But there has to be an entity, not only the land management, I guess, but where does the court come in that says, hey, we need to again certify this. Which one is the correct documentation, and who does the bottom line is, who does this belong to? Because you have 3-4 different documents that are basically saying different things.
Well, it's obviously a job for the Superior Court. Now remember, this certificate of title thing was invented in the 19th century, before we had modern technology. So it all went on the basis of an original and a duplicate, and accurate writing on those papers. And I think I can remember the number of the statute, 22 WAM Code annotated, section 29-195, says that if there's an error in a certificate of title, an interested party or the registrar of titles, which is Michael Bora, can petition the court to correct it. That's the only way you can correct it. And stop and ask yourself, would you want it any other way?
Of course not.
Would you want Andrew Santos down there, with some snowpake? Correct? Well, that's basically what happened. That's what happened. So the matter should have gone to the Superior Court to correct that error. Michael Bora wrote me a letter on January 20 saying, I have talked with the Attorney General of Guam. That's Elizabeth Barrett Anderson, Esquire. And the counsel for the Department of Land Management, that's Kristen Finney. And they said, I am required to petition the Superior Court to correct that error.
So, and that was the right move to make.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not only the right move, but the only possible move, right?
Okay, so they told you that, they solidified that a letter, they told you that, but that's not what they did, right?
No, it isn't, and I have to admit a little gullibility here, confess a little error, Jess.
You believed it.
I did. I was lulled into a false sense of security because see, I wrote this frank but fair letter to Michael Bora.
In other words, Madagyo. Sorry to interrupt.
So I wrote this scathing letter to Michael Bora, and he answered the same day saying, oh yeah, okay, you got a point here. I'm going to look into that. I had a couple of meetings with him, and he said, yeah, you're right. I've met with the Attorney General and on and on and on, and we'll have to fix this. We'll have to go to court. It's not, but we're going to do it. And I thought, man, this doesn't happen very often. This director did what he was supposed to do. He was open, he was friendly, approachable. And I thought, this is going to be a little easier than what I thought it would be. But then all of a sudden the lights went out and nothing happened. Phone calls weren't returned. It was hard to make an appointment, et cetera. I finally got in there and I explained very politely that I'm not very good at open-ended waiting. So when are you guys going to file the papers that you said in your January letter that you'd file? And that's when I began to hear a refrain that was repeated over and over again by Kristen Finney. I can't file those papers because I've got to sit down with Jackie and see what she's got. I've got to sit down with Jackie Terlahi. I've got to talk with Jackie Terlahi before I do this. Well, when are you going to do that? Well, I don't know, but I got to sit down with Jackie. A month goes by, and they're still working on the seating chart.
Well, Bob, I don't understand if you have to speak to somebody, if you have all the documentation there and this is the actual correct one you have, that's all you needed to go in.
One would think so,
Yeah.
but she was insistent that she couldn't file any papers.
Or maybe she couldn't decide which one is the correct document.
I think later events kind of showed what she had or had not decided.
Okay.
But there was a big stall then, so
Okay.
I went from, from a public-spirited whistleblower who found a mistake and brought it to the attention of a government official to a guy who was barely let in the front door, I became a pariah overnight. Are you here again with that dumb question? I told you, I got to sit down with Jackie. So the certificates of title that we're talking about, the wronger ones, the erroneous ones, Jackie Terlahi had from the 15th of December on. I have a copy of a transmittal from a lady named Tovis who sent her Xerox copies of those. So she had them from the 15th of December on until the 15th of March when Kristen says, oh, the property owner brought in the duplicate certificates, so now we don't have to go to court.
So yet another document.
Yeah.
Bob, I got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I'm really confused now, but we'll be right back.